Gaith Abdulla, co-founder and director of Bayt AlMamzar, which is an independent art space based in Dubai. We do experimental exhibition making. We host artist residencies and studios and various other public programs and activations, all geared towards the grassroots and the more underrepresented elements of our communities in the artistic ecosystem in the UAE. One of the most important ones here and now is a driver of social impact and cultural commentary and critique. It's a diverse vehicle that can bring across, various messages and touch on social and contemporary hot topics in a way that fits cultural climates. So something that perhaps you're not able to say in words or directly, you're able to use art as a vehicle to kind of at least introspect on those questions from angles that would allow the public or whichever stakeholder that's looking at it, whether it's institutional or otherwise, to think about things differently or to think about things that you wouldn't be able to directly address using other mediums.
My name is Maad Al-Aufi. I do art. I explore a lot. I'm actually working in the Gaith Development Authority as the Associate Director of Creative Production. And I've been in the art field for quite a few years now in Saudi Arabia. That is a critical question, but for me, I see it like an anchor. I see it like an attractive point, a gathering point for people together to look at, to have a dialogue, and to visit.
My name is Ksenia Zobova. I'm a cultural producer in Inloco initiative. The community of art enthusiasts gather together in order to enhance public spaces and public realm around us through multidisciplinary and culturally driven initiatives. When it comes to art in public spaces, we have to think of why it's here. So what's the reason behind placing art into public spaces? To me, the most inspiring part of public art installation is then they tell stories of people, they tell stories of human history, and this is how they create like a space for culture and space for dialogue between place and people. So yeah, it's a way to create strong emotional attachment to place, especially then public art is done in a sophisticated manner. When people and residents are involved, then it's really important mission of public art.
I'm Dunja Gottweis. I'm the director of Art Dubai. I just moved to Dubai 7 months ago. I have worked with art fairs for many years. I've been the global director of gallery relations for Art Basel. Have lived in Switzerland and in New York and spent some time in Hong Kong. And now I arrived here in the Middle East, and I'm so excited to work with the team that works on Art Dubai, with the community that has supported it. It has only been 7 months, but it's the most welcoming place I've ever been to, and everybody seems extremely excited. So, yeah. Well, I think that once it is like in the public, we can engage with it in a very different way. So this is why at Art Dubai, one thing we want to introduce is a sector that like spans across the entire campus to experience art in a different way. And I think it will just also take an art fair to a different level. I think it will make it more accessible, which I think is important. It basically gives everybody the possibility to kind of live and be with it, which is important.
Hi, my name is Laila Binbrek. I'm the director for the National Pavilion UAE at the Venice Biennale. We are the caretakers of the UAE space in Venice. We participate in both the art and architecture exhibition every year. As the National Pavilion UAE, our mission is usually to tell an untold story from the community to the outside world. Inevitably, what happens is that we're not only telling it to our international audiences, we're also telling it to our audiences here. through the research and exploration of each curatorial team, we're not only amplifying those voices that already exist, but we're bringing them out of the shadows into a more public realm through the exhibition primarily, but also through the publications that we produce, the talks, and through our internship program where we disseminate this information. At the end of the day, the way that I see it is that the National Pavilion can only reflect what is happening here in the country, not just to the international audience, but also here internally.
My name is Pepe Baena. I'm originally from Girona in Spain, and I'm a cultural consultant. I work across diverse platforms. The Artist in Residency Focus and the gallery AWL that I founded in Spain. And right now we're expanding to the Emirates, specifically to Al Ain. Public art is extremely important for society because it has a huge impact in the community, in the way we interact, in the way we move, in the way we experience, in the way we live. And getting art out of the institutions is very important for that reason. So I'm very happy that to be in the UAE at this moment, which is very important for the context, because UAE is a region that is growing, and they're really focusing on having an impact in public art.
Hello, I'm Ahmed Al-Rashid. I'm originally from Kuwait. I live in Dubai for the past 6 years. During the day, I'm a senior programming and cultural events manager at the Shindaqa Museum, which is the biggest heritage museum in the region. And I am a humble art curator, really an emerging art curator. A friend of mine called me a creative strategist because I manage creative projects, artists in the community, and I moderate talks and panels. And soon I will be curating the first photography pavilion at World Art Dubai in April 2026. I think this is a great question because in the region, up until the past 10 years, everything was institutional. And so the language and the narrative and dialogue were around those areas, and be it public spaces or inside a building or a gallery or foundation. This is changing. It's incredibly important nowadays because at the moment we'll have abundance of offerings, and we have to, as practitioners in the sector, to understand how we can separate the role of institution and separate us as private or individuals trying to make a difference in the industry. Now we will witness, and we are witnessing already, abundance of biennales and art fairs and galleries and international events coming to the region. And I think the role that we play now, all of us, is to really ask the right questions, engage, be critical, and because we cannot get better and we cannot support the institution or separate a little bit from the institution if we don't take a proactive and probably an innovative action or point of view to support the institution. The institutions were very strong because the public was mature and growing. Now, no, we have a balance. We have a huge balance. And so I think the collaboration should be asking the right questions, knowing, learning, engaging, and think innovatively to be as good as what's expected from us when we receive all these big events and biennales and arts and institutions and locations.
I would say anything that is actually respecting the audiences from their different ages, their needs and intellectuality, plus the contextual area around it. That might be the right approach for the right intervention artistically.
Hello, I am Giuseppe Moscatello. I am a cultural producer and artistic director of Foundry Downtown. Today we are experiencing a lot of different trends, especially in public art. But in my opinion, I think engagement and full immersive experience with the general public is kind of hyping up in general.
It depends. It should be context-based and site-specific. That's the main idea behind any kind of project that we run, and I hope like all curators of public art think about it. from the beginning. So any type, it can be in a temporary form, it can be a permanent form, but the context and the meaning behind the artwork this is what is important.
Well, one example is Inloco. Inloco have been able in a short term here in the region in the UAE to make enormous impact, but also very successful collaborations between being a foreigner calling Dubai home to engaging with institutes like today, for example. We are in a Safa Design Art Library in collaboration with Dubai Public Libraries and Dubai Culture. You've been doing art installations with international communities living here and participating in art fairs, and including both the locals living, the locals of the country, expat living in the country, and those who are about to come or engage with it. Now, the success, there is not one format for success. Trial and error, mistakes will be done, but as individuals or collectives or organizations, if you don't do these mistakes in a new place that you are trying to evolve within, you will never be able to do the right steps. But I think the basic pillars would be communication, engagement and understanding of the socio-cultural surrounding. What works in Dubai probably doesn't work in London, and vice versa. And the third one is engage with the youth of the public of the location. What I mean is that you want to listen to Emiratis and Khalijis and Arabs who lives here, and they are within the industry, so you can understand that how can you start building from A to Z your successful. And there is not right or wrong. I don't believe in right or wrong. I just believe that sometimes things work, sometimes not, and that's life. And it works also with the art.
I'm a believer that public art should be democratic and should be voted by the population of a country, because that would be the most democratic way of selecting urban art. But I don't think we're there yet, and we'll see how the future unfolds.
My name is Sanaz Askari. I'm an independent curator and the founder of The Mind, which was launched in 2013 in Dubai, an independent art space and project space focusing on emerging artists by creating interdisciplinary interventions, including engaging the community, working with Dubai government under the Dubai Media Office, creating a series of cultural public programming, as well as a series of public art catered to the younger community and families of UAE. I also work on cultural strategy independently and with foundations and cultural centers, as well as curating independently with cultural centers such as, and in collaboration with cultural centers such as Al Sirkala Avenue. And most recently, I've curated the exhibition at the Third Line Gallery in Dubai. The synergy actually is one of the essential things that I think about every time I see projects taking off independently. It's very important to engage institutions, cultural initiatives, government to a certain extent for permissions and so on, as well as curators, independent curators, to give the right direction and sort of juxtaposition to convey the right message in whatever that public realm is. And I think over the years, this is something that's been developing over more than ever in UAE, where you see that sort of synergies taking place, and the different entities, they're becoming like a puzzle. The right pieces, once the right pieces come together, the result is much more strong than when everyone does their own thing on their own. So yeah, it's important to have sort of a round table conversation about these initiatives rather than just doing them independently. And that's sort of a community engagement that we need.
My name is Nicole Kanne. I'm a Dubai-based independent art consultant and cultural strategist, and I've lived in the region for 9 years. So I actually see two key challenges here. The first one being the fact that the region is changing at such an unprecedented pace, which makes it very, very difficult for curators or commissioners of public art to keep up and to really understand what will be relevant in the next 10 years. And I think the second one is the fact that we have these two different worlds colliding, one of them being the local community, people who are either from the region or who have lived here for a very long time, and then on the other hand, audiences who are coming to live here, some of them having never come to the region before, just tourists who are just coming to visit. And the challenges for commissioners and curators of public art is to really marry the two needs, understanding what each audience needs and how to best address both of them in one public art strategy or one public art commission.
Well, I have to say it's so important. You know, like I saw this here, the level of interest, the number of people that came up to me after the talk, that introduced themselves, that told me their story. It's incredible. And I think it just mirrors like the essence of Dubai and the welcoming place that it is. I learned so much, you know, like I learned from my colleagues on the panel. And I think for everybody, this was the entire day, you know, like it's very inspirational and can only take us forward.
I think in a region where we're still shifting and moving and shaping who we are, how we talk about ourselves, these kind of talks by Inloco and other institutions are really important. It brings us together, it brings different practitioners together to discuss ideas that maybe we might have had just around a coffee table, but here today we're having it in this public library, and we're having audience members who maybe for the first time they're hearing not just about the topic that we're discussing, but also about the work that each one of us individually does. So I think there's always a benefit to share and have these kind of conversations where the public can come.
For me, I've seen it as an opportunity to learn, actually, from different minds. I just had the first session with the members, the speakers that you guys got, and I'm already learning a lot. So that is very interesting for me. So thank you for that.
Given that we have many art initiatives in the region, especially in UAE, such as art fairs, institutions, museums, sort of cultural centers like Al Sirkal Avenue, creating further initiatives where the community is gathered and it has a sort of a form of educational reference, such as talks, panels, is very important and essential to bring the community together, to educate and to create interesting dialogues in terms of art and public art especially. And I think it's a very important initiative that Inloco has been doing for the past couple of years, and it's been a pleasure to be here for the second time, and I hope you guys continue it.
With urbanists and artists, but also in general within the creative ecosystem specifically, but also in general, being process-based. So, you know, being driven by outcomes and goals and clear agendas is great, but especially within the creative industry and ecosystem, you want to be open to letting the process drive creation. And you want to, because it allows you to remain introspective on why you're doing what you're doing. So I think a key bit of advice would be honor the process. I think especially in a context like the UAE in this moment in time, where things are changing, where things feel like they happen so quickly, and you feel like you're running from one project to the other, maintaining the focus on process allows you to think a little bit more longer term, which I think is something that we might be missing a little bit.
Based on what we discussed in the conversation earlier, there are different aspects from top to bottom and bottom up approach. But I think what is really interesting today that we are experiencing a genuine interest from the general public to engage more with art in general, and therefore we are also experiencing commissions and commitment from not only from government but also from private organizations trying to bring artists and developers together, for example, within the context of public art. And I think this is a good indicator showing that we are going in a good direction where art is more accessible to a wider audience.
So I actually see two main challenges here. I would say the first one is the fact that the region is just changing at an incredibly rapid pace, really unprecedented. And I think the other one is that we have this dichotomy between the local context, people who are from here or who've lived in the region for a long time, and then people who are coming to live here or just who come and visit the region as tourists. And I think the trick here is to try and marry the two, understand the individual needs and wants that these two have for public art, and try and address both as much as we can as curators, artists, and creative practitioners.